All right, now we're going to do the finish cut with that same cutter. So what we can do is we're going to right click on the routine we just made, and we're going to use the duplicate command. But then we're going to open the duplicate, and this will be our finish cut. So we got 5,000 RPM and our cutting feed rate. Let's bump this up to 50. And then our ramp and plunge, really a side move on what we're going to do is the ramp and plunge on this finish cut is really going to be at the same speed because you're not taking very much material off. So we're going to set all those to the same speed. We're going to go to geometry. We're going to keep the same exact geometry. On our heights, they should all stay the same. On the finish passes, though, we do need to make some changes. So we're not leaving stock. Okay, we're going to deselect that. And we're not doing a profile. We're going to do the pocket command. And we're going to set our step over to 5 thousandths. And then we go to our linking tab. And we'll leave all this at default. And that's okay. And you'll see our path follows a pocket shape now. And since it goes the center line, it will result in a fillet. Okay, so if we were to simulate it at this point, we have our face mill. We're profiling around the outside edge. Drilled our hole. Came in and profiled. That was our rough cut. And then here's our finish pocketing cut. It is a bit of a waste toolpath to do it this way. In general, we really would like to cut that floor with a flat end mill, and then we wouldn't need this pass here. We would just do a finish cut with the ball cutter going around in a circle. So that should result in a pretty good routine. The machining time of this operation was 3 minutes, so it's not too bad. But if you're in production, if you can cut that 3 minutes out, it'd be great. Okay, now we need to do this fillet on the outside. Unfortunately, our tool library doesn't have a great selection of ball cutters. We go from 1/2 inch down to 1/8 inch. So what we're going to do is we're going to approach this fillet on the outside. We're going to rough it with the 1/2 inch ball, which you have plenty of room to do with this operation. But when we do the opposite side, we're going to be really close to the steel jaws. So we're only going to use the 1/2 inch ball to rough, and we got to make sure we're not going to hit the steel jaws. And then we'll do a finish cut using the same type of command on the fillet with an 1/8 inch ball. So here we go. We're going to use the 1/2 inch ball. It should already be in the magazine, tool 6. And we're going to use the 3D command contour. We're going to use the same cutter. We're going to slow it down for this particular command. So we're going to go back to a ramp rate of, I think it was 27 inches a minute and 27 inches a minute for those moves. The linear moves, 50 is fine. We're going to the geometry tab, and we're going to go change our boundary to outside boundary. So the center of the cutter will go to the outside of the boundary of what we're selecting to its tangency of its radius. And we're going to do a selection, and we're going to select a boundary that goes around just the exterior features of the fillet. So to do that, we need to pick chain. We're going to pick open chain initially, and we'll start selecting around the perimeter of the part. We're going to go up the radius on the side, And then on this very last step, we need to switch to closed chain to pick our last selection. And it'll give us our boundary. You can see it's projecting it. That's what we're going to machine within. Select OK on the first box. Now as we travel down, we want to check the slope box. We want it to cut between 0 and 90 degrees. We're going to scroll down. We don't want to machine this end. It could roll around and cut the end. So we want to add a surface. We're going to pick the end of the model. We're going to say we want to avoid that surface by a radial clearance of 0.0005. That's 5/10. So we're not avoiding it by much. Half a thou. You could put even smaller if you wanted, but that's to keep it from rolling over the end. Okay, next tab. Our retract height is going to be model top. Our top height is also going to be model top. And then on our next box, we don't want to cut all the way to the bottom of the model. We want to contain this to the fillet. And on the 1/2 inch ball, we don't want the tip to go any further than where this arc tangency hits the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to selection and pick the bottom of the tangency point. And so then you look at from the side profile, it shouldn't cut any deeper than that. It's going to be critical on side 2, or we're going to hit these steel jaws. Okay, we go to passes. In this case, we want to climb and conventional, so it goes back and forth. And our maximum step down is going to be on this cutter 0.125 because we're roughing it. We're going to pick the stock to leave, and we're going to leave 0.01 or 10,000ths stock to leave in both axial and radial. That's for the next cutter to cut a finish cut on. And we're going to select the smoothing box, which gives us a smoothing tolerance of 4/10. We're going to go to the next tab. Okay, we're going to leave all this at default until we get down here to the bottom. We're going to leave a horizontal lead-in radius. We're going to do a lead-in sweep angle of 0. Our vertical lead-in radius is going to be 0. We're going to leave the rest of the same. Our transitions are going to be smooth. Our ramp type is going to be plunge. Our ramp clearance is going to be 0.1. And we're going to put our preferred lead-in point as the top bottom corner where we'd start climb cutting. Let's hit OK. And we get only 3 passes, but that's going to rough most of the material away, leaving some material for the 1/8 inch ball, which is a lot smaller, significantly smaller, to do our finish cut. Okay, so to do our finish cut, we can actually right click on this routine, and we're going to hit duplicate or duplicate. We're going to open that duplicate and go edit, and we're going to select a different tool. We're going to go down to the Sierra library, and we're going to use the 1/8 inch ball end mill. We're going to select that tool. 8,000 RPM, fine, we're going to leave it alone. 10 inches a minute, cutting speed, that might be a little bit slow. We're going to double our feed rate to 20 inches a minute. And our ramp and feed can go 10s. Let's go to the geometry. We're going to leave all of this at default. We're going to go to the heights tab. We're going to leave all of this at default except for this edge selection. We're going to tell it to go half a diameter past, so negative 0.0625 is half the diameter of that ball cutter. And in that way the ball will wrap around and go past tangency and make a full fillet. We're going to go to the passes tab. It's going to go in both directions, and our maximum step down is going to be 0.10 10,000 steps. And we're going to delete the stock to leave the smoothing deviation where it is. And on the last tab, I believe we can leave everything at default. Let's hit OK. Now if we go back to our machining time, that should be down to 15 minutes, or about a half hour. So it's going to be important you launch this program before, with ample time to run it before class is over. Okay, that's it for side one. Now let's look at our second operation. We're going to go ahead and make our temporarily make our stock visible again. We're going to hide the vise we're using now, show the vise for the second op, flip our view around so that we're looking at it properly. Again, we're using a different height parallels here, so we need to note that in our work, okay? And we've got to be very careful. We're not going to hit these steel jaws with the programming we do. Let's minimize operation one. We're going to go to setup and we're going to say new setup. The first thing we want to do is set our stock. And it defaults to previous, which I guess is okay. Let's go to setup and we're going to set our box point. And instead of being a stock box point, it's going to be a model box point. And we need to select our model, which is our part. This will allow us now to go to set Z-axis and X-axis. We need to pick the top of our stock. We're going to pick our X-axis as a horizontal line on our stock. And then our box point, since it's a model box point, will be the top left corner of our parallel, which shows up on the model box point. Because now we want to have our reference off the machined edges of this part. On the post-processing tab, we're going to put a program number of, this is the 7311 part, operation 2. We're going to call it op2, and we're going to use work coordinate system number 1. And hit OK. Let's change the name to op2. And let's look at what we got to do. First, we have to machine down all the material that's on the top down to this level. We already have a program that does that, but doesn't remove enough material. So we're going to right click on the op1 face mill routine, and we're going to select copy. Then we're going to highlight operation 2, and we're going to right click, and we're going to paste it. You'll have to expand it once you've copied something into it. And it's warning you needs to regenerate, because right now the toolpath's for the opposite side of the part. We're going to right click on that routine and go edit. We already have the tool and RPM and everything we need for that. We just need to select different geometry. So our geometry here is the top, okay? And then we're going to go to heights tab, and everything should be stock top. We're going from stock top and the top height of stock top, and we're going to machine down to the top of the model. Then we go to passes. The one thing we need to change here is we need to do multiple depths. We don't want to cut all that off in one pass. Our maximum step down is 40 thousandths. We're going to use even step downs. We're going to cut back and forth from both sides. And if you want, you can put it in a finishing step. And let's make that finishing step 0.01, so 10 thousandths. This is going to skim that off. No stock to leave. On the other tab, everything should be at default. Let's hit OK. So it generates the paths, the machine that a hat off the top. Okay, done with that. Okay, now we have similar routines. We have the finger groove, we have the holes already cut, but we need to have the chamfer go in there, and then we have the fillet, exterior fillet on the outside. So let's hide the stock now that we've milled down the outside, or the top down to level. This hole should appear if it was cut right. So, and we did a face mill on the first side. We did a contour on the first side that we don't need to do on this side. Now we have the drilling we want to copy, which is the chamfer countersink on our part. So let's right click on that one and hit copy. We're going to pick on op2 and we're going to paste the drilling routine. Again, it needs to be regenerated because it knows it's associated with a different setup. We're going to say edit. First tab can stay the same. Geometry tab, we want to delete what we selected on the first side and reselect the similar geometry on the opposite side, which is the countersink itself. We go to the heights tab. It goes from model top to whole top to whole bottom. We can keep that all the same, as provided we did select the countersink. So we hit OK, and it does the countersink. We don't need to do the hole because that was already done from the other side. Now let's do this pocket area. We should be able to reapply what we did on the first side. So we can skip the drilling and the contour of the inside of the hole, and now we want to copy this roughing flat routine. So we're going to right click on that and we're going to say copy, pick op2, right click, paste. So this is our roughing flat operation. I'm going to right click on it, hit edit. All of this stuff stays the same. We go to the geometry tab and this is what changes. So the boundary was on the opposite side of the part. We want to delete that boundary and we want to select the new one on this side of the part. Other than that, I think this command stays at default. Go to the heights tab. All of this should be the same except for this selection. Now we selected a face on the opposite side of the part. You can see it highlighted down there. We want to deselect that face and select the face on the face that's facing us on this side of the part, which is the floor of the finger groove. Okay, and then we're going to go to passes. We're going to leave all of this at default. We're going to go to linking, leave all that at default. It worked on the other side. And select OK. And we regenerated our roughing pass.